This was the dream, the one they sell you in 1,000 YouTube videos and 1,000,000 Instagram posts. Freedom, autonomy, the promise that you could build an empire from your laptop, untethered from the fluorescent lights and rigid hierarchies of the corporate world. It's the modern definition of success, being your own boss, setting your own hours, and answering to no one but your own ambition. For 5 years, I lived that dream. I built a successful freelance career, client by client, project by project. I had the freedom, the flexibility, the income, everything I thought I wanted. So why, after 5 years of living that dream, did I trade it all in for a key card in a cubicle? Why did I walk away from being my own boss to become an employee again? This isn't a story about failure. It's a story about the hidden cost of freedom and the search for a different kind of success. In this episode of The Blueprint, we're deconstructing the hidden truth about the freelance dream. And if you're navigating your own career path, make sure you subscribe to GenShift for more deep dives that go beyond the hype. 1. The freelance dream, the thrill and the grind, the rise. Let's call her Chloe. When Chloe first left her 9-to-5, the feeling was pure exhilaration. The corporate world, with its fixed salaries and predictable career ladders, felt like a cage. Freelancing was the escape. That first client felt like a revolution. Suddenly, her income was directly tied to her effort and her talent, not to an arbitrary annual review cycle. If she worked harder, she earned more. It was a simple, powerful equation that felt incredibly empowering. Soon, one client became 3, then 5. She was a master of her craft, and for the first time, she felt fully in control of her professional destiny. She could work from her apartment, a coffee shop, or a different city entirely. Her schedule was her own, a fluid thing she could shape around her life, not the other way around. This was the autonomy Gen Z craves, the ability to design a life where personal values and professional goals are perfectly blended, not siloed into a rigid 9-to-5 box. She was building something that was entirely hers, and the pride in that was immense. But the architecture of the dream had hidden flaws. The freedom of the home office began to curdle into something else. The silence, once a catalyst for deep focus, started to feel like profound isolation. In a traditional office, your day is punctuated by small social rituals. The morning coffee run, the shared laugh over a meme, the quick brainstorm in the hallway. These moments, seemingly insignificant, are the connective tissue of a workplace. They are a psychological buffer against stress. As a freelancer, Chloe had none. Wins felt hollow without a team to celebrate with. Frustrations festered without a colleague to vent to. Studies confirm this is a widespread issue, with over half of freelancers reporting that their work has caused them to feel depressed, a rate far higher than in traditional employment. And then there was the grind, the work behind the work. No one tells you that to be a freelance designer, you also have to be a salesperson, an accountant, a project manager, and your own HR department. This administrative overhead is a constant cognitive drain. It's what researchers call unproductive work. The hours spent chasing invoices, marketing yourself, and hunting for the next project, which can easily consume a significant portion of the work week. The very autonomy she craved came with a hidden trade-off. She had full control over her creative work, but that creative work was now just one of a dozen balls she had to keep in the air. The mental energy once dedicated to perfecting her craft was now being diverted to tasks she had no training for and no passion for. The dream of focusing purely on her passion was, it turned out, a myth. 2. The tipping point. The cost of freedom. The crisis. The tipping point wasn't a single catastrophic event. It was a slow, corrosive burnout. Chloe landed the biggest contract of her career, a project that should have been a triumphant milestone, but she felt nothing. No joy, no pride, just a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. The problem wasn't the work itself. It was the weight of everything else. It was the relentless emotional labor of being a business of one. The most significant burden was the financial instability. Freelance income isn't a steady river. It's a volatile cycle of feast and famine. 1 month, she'd feel invincible. Next, a client payment would be late, a project would be canceled, and a wave of panic would set in. This income volatility is more than just a financial stressor. It's a cognitive tax. Behavioral science research shows that the constant worry about money occupies a significant amount of mental bandwidth. impairing focus and decision-making to a degree comparable to losing a full night's sleep. How can you be your most creative, strategic self when a part of your brain is perpetually occupied by a low-grade hum of anxiety about making rent? This chronic stress has severe consequences for mental health. Studies consistently link the economic precarity of freelancing to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout. You're always on because you can never truly switch off. A vacation isn't just a vacation. It's a week of zero income. A sick day is a direct financial loss. The moment of clarity came on a Tuesday. She woke up with the flu, body aching, and head pounding, but a major deadline loomed. In a traditional job, she would have sent a simple email calling in sick. Her work would be covered and she would still get paid. But as a freelancer, being sick was a complex and costly calculation. Pushing through meant delivering subpar work. Taking the day off meant losing income and potentially damaging a client relationship. In that moment, the lack of a safety net felt less like freedom and more like a trap. There was no paid time off. No employer-sponsored health insurance to soften the blow of a doctor's visit. No retirement plan quietly growing in the background. She realized the freedom she had been chasing was an illusion. She was free from a boss, but she had become a slave to uncertainty. She was free from a commute, but she was trapped in a state of chronic low-grade anxiety. The stability and benefits offered by a traditional 9-to-5 job, which she had once seen as restrictive, now looked like something else entirely: a foundation. They were protective shields that absorbed the shocks of life, freeing up mental and emotional energy to actually live and to focus on the work itself. The cost of her independence had become too high. It was time to make a change. 3. The return. Finding a new kind of success. The resolution. Chloe's return to the job market wasn't a retreat. It was a strategic realignment. Armed with 5 years of entrepreneurial experience, she knew her own value. And more importantly, she now knew exactly what she needed from a work environment. She wasn't just looking for a job, she was looking for a structure that supported her well-being. This reflects a broader shift in how Gen Z defines career success. It's not about climbing a ladder at all costs. It's about finding a role that provides a trifecta of financial security, meaningful work, and positive well-being. She eventually accepted a position at a company whose mission she admired and whose culture emphasized collaboration. The first day back in the office felt surreal. But soon, she began to rediscover the simple, profound benefits of being part of a team. Brainstorming sessions were no longer solo struggles, but dynamic exchanges of ideas. When she hit a creative block, she could turn to a senior colleague for mentorship, a resource incredibly valuable to younger professionals seeking to accelerate their growth. The casual conversations in the kitchen weren't just distractions. They were moments of connection that rebuilt the social fabric she had been missing. The biggest change was the restoration of boundaries. At 5 o'clock, she could close her laptop and truly disconnect. The work stayed at the office. This mental separation, which is nearly impossible for most freelancers, was a revelation. It created space in her life again, space for hobbies, for friends, for rest. The steady paycheck removed the constant cognitive tax of financial anxiety, freeing her mind to be more creative and present, both at work and at home. She had found a new kind of freedom, the freedom from constant worry. This journey is becoming increasingly common. The career boomerang, leaving a company or work style only to return later, is a growing trend, especially among younger generations who view careers not as a linear path, but as a series of experiences. Chloe didn't fail at freelancing. She succeeded in gaining invaluable skills in self-management, marketing, and client relations. She then leveraged that experience to find a traditional role that she could appreciate in a way she never could have before. She is the archetype of a new, resilient hybrid professional, capable of thriving in both structured and unstructured environments. Her story proves that success isn't about choosing the right path. It's about having the self-awareness to know which path is right for you right now. Conclusion. In the end, the debate between freelancing and the 9-to-5 misses the point. There is no universally superior option. The most successful career isn't defined by whether you're a boss or an employee, but by how well your work aligns with your personal definition of a good life. For some, that means the thrill and autonomy of building something alone. For others, it means the stability, community, and psychological safety of being part of a team. Choosing stability is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength and a conscious decision to prioritize your mental health and well-being. It's about understanding that the most valuable freedom is the freedom to be well. Chloe's story is just one version of a modern career. What does success look like for you? Share your journey or your thoughts in the comments below. And for more conversations that deconstruct the future of work, make sure you're subscribed to GenShift.